A very good morning and welcome to the hotspot on this Saturday morning. Well, the sun is out, but it has not yet lit on the good news that we are all hoping to hear, that Andre Onana is officially done. Well, it will be happening soon, I do know, but there is more news for us to be excited about because there is an update I've got for you concerning the takeover. I do know for a fact that many of you want to understand what's going on, why the silence, and that's why I'm here to just answer that for you. My name is Webb. Subscribe to the hotspot and let's get into it now, guys. I know, and understandably, as a Manchester United supporter myself, I've been frustrated by the way the takeover has been dragging on, and the excitement we got at some point when there was update after update after update coming through concerning the takeover, only for it to go silent. Probably a sign of people being tired of expecting and expecting, but with nothing being done. But guys, here I am to give you an update of what should be going on. Why the silence? Why are we hearing no update concerning the takeover? What is happening? Well, it doesn't mean there is nothing going on. There should be work being done. There is work being done behind closed doors, and I'm here just to give you an idea of how these takeovers do work. And whereas the fans and supporters want things to happen overnight, in weeks, in months, well, the processes might be longer than that. And I think it is only right that I come out here and help you understand why we should be patient and wait for the process to go on. Well, the first thing we need to know is that Sheikh Jassim is still in the lead to take over Manchester United. Now, remember, when the Glazers put the club out for sale in November, two top bidders were zeroed down on. That's Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sheikh Jassim. Now, the process is, if there are two bidders, you go into a bidding process. There can be a stage where you have a preferred bidder. Of the two guys bidding, who do the sellers want to deal with? Who is the preferred bidder? Now, we were at that stage, and I think we got those reports here on the hotspot and all the several other outlets that you follow. Now, after that stage, we got the preferred bidder, who was Sheikh Jassim in this case. After that stage, the preferred bidder was taken into exclusivity negotiations or talks. Now, you have two bidders. Get a preferred bidder who has a more sensible bid for you. In this case, Sheikh Jassim, he is named the preferred bidder. He is granted exclusivity to talk exclusively to the Glazers and negotiate. That happens, of course. Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his team are left frustrated and wobbling, but the process goes on. Negotiate with the preferred bidder. Now, after that, the next stage should be, if the preferred bidder's bid is considered and found viable to take over the club, then the next stage should be, and this is the stage where we are at, and probably it is probably the most crucial stage. It is one that is not even entirely in the hands of the Glazers, but it is a standard by the Premier League. It is called the Premier League Owners and Directors Test. Now, this is a crucial test for anyone trying to own a club in the Premier League. It's called the Premier League Owners and Directors test, and it's something that is renewed annually. They keep reviewing the owners of these clubs annually. Now, there are standards that you've got to meet if you're going to own a club in the Premier League. I think, understandably, because I mean, a random fraud cannot just come out and claim to have billions of pounds and own the biggest football club or a club in the biggest football league in the world. There should be standards or the minimum requirements you should meet for you to associate or even later on own a club in the Premier League. So that is a test that is so crucial, it's so critical, and this is where we are believed to be at. Now, the Sheikh Jassim, who was the preferred bidder, went through exclusive negotiations, is now at that stage where now, and that's why we had, it's around that time we had, they were quick to register the 9-2 foundation, and all these updates kept coming about documents leaking and stuff. So these are some of the processes that are needed for you to pass the Premier League Owners and Directors test. So it's an intense test because they've got to find out, I think, to investigate you entirely in terms of, do you pay taxes? Do you have any criminal records? Do you abide by, existing laws? Are you, if you're a foreigner and you're a criminal in your country and you wanted in any way, what are your exact sources of money? These are some of the questions that they are asked. Are you a credible person? Are the people you claim to fund you the right people? Do you fund yourself? There are a sort of a series of requirements that you've got to go through to pass that director's test. And even last year, by the way, there were even more that were added in a way of renewing or refreshing the requirements for you to pass the Premier League owners and directors test. So it's a tedious process that can take even months, up to months. So that is where we are, and it's not that there is nothing going on concerning the takeover, but probably it's a crucial stage where you want all parties to concentrate so that the right person takes over the club, and that's where we are. So it's believed that Sheikh Jassim is being taken through the Premier League owners and directors test, and if he does pass it, he should, because they've got to know his match fixing record. You could be a known match fixer. We know how match fixing is huge in sport globally, and the people running match fixing, these match fixing companies are some of the biggest, the wealthiest people in the world. So imagine if a known fixer, or rather a big fixer, a filthy rich fixer, takes over a club like Man United. I think football would be dead. So all these are crucial stages that have got to be done. And just if I'm to read for you some of the things they look out for in the Premier League owners and directors test, if they look at things like if you've been disqualified from being a director of a club before, if you've provided false information to the Premier League for the test, if they are direct or indirect involvement with other Premier League or EFL clubs. You cannot own two Premier League clubs or be involved in two clubs or EFL clubs. That's not allowed. So they've got to find out that if you have a conviction imposed by a UK or competent foreign court which led to a 12-month or more imprisonment and involved being dishonest, violent, fraudulent, corrupt, perverting the course of justice, or committing a hate crime. All those are investigations that are important. If you've committed crimes against humanity in your country, if you're a foreigner, even if you're a British citizen, they have got to find out that if the Premier League deem that you have committed an act outside the UK, which would be deemed an offence here or in the UK, that's another part. Then they made some changes that were approved recently. That was in March because they voted to make these changes to their test, which came to work with immediate effect. Decisions being taken by the Premier League board under the test are always subject to review by an independent oversight panel. So that's another process, because again, if the Premier League test board does approve you, the Premier League board, then there's an independent oversight panel you've got to go through again to go through your approval one more time. So it's a long process, and so many other things. The threshold for control should be lowered to 25% from 30%. Club chief executives have got to be brought in with scope of the test, and will a new concept of relevant signatories, being individuals responsible for signing a range of key regulatory documents, owners and directors declaration forms, that's called a Form 4. They've got to be tailored to address individual and corporate directors. There is a lot you've got to go through. So that's a long process if you think about it, and that is where it is believed that Sheikh Jassim is at now. And there is belief. You remember at a point when there were celebrations in Qatar, they felt they had got, I think, to the better part of passing that test, and it's a crucial stage, but it could take a couple of months or weeks, and that's why, whereas it's painful, we've got to be patient, because we don't know so much about Sheikh Jassim, to be honest. And whereas we are excited about his bid and what he would give, and him being Qatari and having all these billions of pounds, we want to be sure that we are selling the club to the right person. We don't want to come from the Glazers and we land into a Qatari fraud, if you know what I mean. Well, I'm not saying that Sheikh Jassim is, but it's possible. There is only one way to find out that he's not. If he's taken through the Premier League directors test, and if the process takes its due course, we've got to let it happen. Whether it takes so long or not, so long as it's the process being done, for me, I have no issues with that. But what I know for a fact is that Sheikh Jassim is in the cruising lead to take over Manchester United. He's being scrutinized entirely, and very soon we'll be hearing whether the verdict, whether he has passed the test or not. Of course, passing the test may not entirely depend on whether he meets all the credentials that are stipulated in the Premier League owners and directors test, because we know it's been clear that where he comes from, his country, Qatar, is not exactly exactly loved. It does not augur well with a lot of people who run football in the UK. But also the fact that the Arab money is disorganizing the European football lately does not even make it any easy for him. Of course, you know how Qatar and the World Cup, and how very big sections of the UK were anti-Qatar hosting the World Cup. There is a certain notion that all people in Qatar are against humanity. They commit crimes against humanity, and being the fact that this man is a member of the royal family, so all that might somehow play against him in a way, because there could be a collective, disinterest in him taking over the biggest football club in the world. And I will be honest about it. I think there are sections, whereas many United supporters are happy about Sheikh Jassim taking over United, there will be sections of people in the UK, especially non-United supporters, who will be feeling that, like, this guy from Qatar can't own the biggest club in the world, and probably they might want to do anything to frustrate the process and frustrate him. And that's what we are sort of seeing. We see the dragging and the lack of communication at times, and you're feeling, are they just trying to frustrate him out of the club? There was a report that came out recently that Sheikh Jassim could actually be looking at buying another club in the UK or in London. And of course, knowing that he's a Man United supporter, it's not a report you want to dig so much into. But you don't know what frustration can push someone to do. If you're frustrated, you can be pushed to do something you may not exactly have wanted to do. So that's the bit of the situation going on with the club. So the takeover process is going on, but it is at a crucial stage where we cannot come out with leaks and updates every day like it were before. I think before it was a case of all bidders trying to make their case, trying to make the world believe that they're in control, but we know who is in control, and the silence now is because the processes are going on, and we only have got to wait and see what comes out of the process. So that's why I don't want you to go over and about looking for any update. This one is going to be announced tomorrow, the other one is going to be announced the other day. No one can know when this process will end, because like I said, this is a crucial process. It's a vetting process. They are trying to vet Sheikh Jassim to see that his money sources are legit, that he's the right man to take over the club, that he's honest, he's not fraudulent, he's a law-abiding citizen of Qatar and perhaps the UK, because he's been there for a long time. So all that is important, and you don't need a lot of third parties and stuff. It's a stage where you've got to crucially concentrate and focus so that you get all the right details. So that's where we are when it comes to this takeover. So that's the update for you this morning, and I know you wanted to dance Onana, but we will be dancing to Onana's Here We Go later on, I do believe. But for now, that's where we are. My name is Webb. Subscribe to the Hotspot. I'll catch you later.